In the headlines, nationwide blackout as national grid collapses again. ISWAP kills 2 fishermen, seizes over 100 boats after clash with Boko Haram insurgents. Niger State says to reopen 11 public schools closed in 2021 due to insecurity. Also in the news, rival governments cooperate to aid Libya's flood victims as misery piles on. Hello there, good afternoon and welcome to Trust News Update. I'm Abdullahi Ahmed. We start with the latest in Nigeria's power sector as the national grid has collapsed yet again in the early hours of Thursday morning. Now, this is coming just weeks after the Transmission Company of Nigeria celebrated over 1 year of zero grid collapse, a feature that has characterized the Nigerian power sector. A statement by the Enugu Electricity Distribution Company says the collapse occurred around 12:40 a.m., which caused loss of supply currently being experienced across the network. The statement says, quote, due to this development, interface TCN stations are out of supply and are unable to provide service to customers in Abia, Anambra, Ebonyi, Enugu, and Imo states. Daily Trust gathered that power transmission has dropped to 273 megawatts of electricity coming from 2 out of the 27 electricity generation plants. Now, Zangon Kabukawa, a community in Batagara local government area of Katsina State, has no running water, schools or any social amenity that can guarantee the sustainable socio-economic well-being of residents in the community. Now, this community continues to suffer neglect from the government as residents express a feeling of despair. Abdullahi Ahmed visited the community less than a kilometer from the local government headquarters to speak to some residents on their challenges.
This is the only access road leading to Zangon Kabukawa village, which since the return of democracy in 1999 has been without basic social amenities. The situation leaves the residents stagnated. For instance, the community has been without school, clean water, healthcare facility, electricity and other basic necessities despite their closeness to Batagarawa town, the local government headquarters, and the state capital, Katsina. These residents at least need a primary school for their children, access road to transport farm produce, and water for animals and domestic purposes for now. Zangon Kabukawa has a population of over 5,000 people and is without even a school. As you can see, we have to send our children to Batagarawa Primary School. Our greatest challenge is this stream, which often prevents our children from attending when it rains. This overhead tank has been there without a functional borehole. An attempt to provide the village with water has not seen the light of the day. How do we get here despite our numerous challenges? Anyway, you are welcome. Please help us to tell Governor Diko Umaru Rada to come to our rescue. He is our last hope. The residents believe democracy has failed to change their fortunes for the better after decades of sufferings. Abdullahi Ismail Ahmadi, Trust Television News, Katsina.
Now, the Islamic State West African province, ISWAP, has reportedly killed 2 fishermen and seized over 70 fishing boats in the Lake Chad area in Borno State. Now, one of the security sources says the latest attacks were in Falimkime and Madanguya Island, in which the 2 fishermen from Kano and Bundarang in Dorong Baga were killed on Wednesday morning. Now, they shot the 2 fishermen dead, according to an eyewitness who says he saw over 40 people that were beaten to a pulp by the insurgents in Dabanwanza and Tumun Debebari area. Now, they also seized over 100 boats from the fishermen. One of those wounded says that they were rounded up by Boko Haram fighters loyal to Abubakar Shekau, who had warned against paying royalty to ISWAP insurgents. Now, another witness who escaped the attack unhurt says the boats seized by the insurgents had kept over 2,000 fishermen in serious hardship. Another fisherman says there were over 144 settlements in the Lake Chad area that had been annexed by the insurgent group. Now, he called on the military to go beyond protecting their formations in the Lake Chad area and take the battle to the insurgents. The Niger State government has announced plans to reopen 11 out of the 42 public schools shut down across the state because of insecurity. Now, recall that the state government had shut the 42 schools back in 2021 at the peak of frequent invasion of boarding schools across the state, but later reopened some of them and shut the remaining 11, which were more prone to security breaches. Mostly affected were female students across the state, especially the kidnap of 99 girls from Salihu Tanko Islamia School in Tegina in Rafi local government area of the state. Now, despite all steps taken to secure their release by the state government, the local government and the communities involved, the students, mostly female and children, spent almost 90 days in captivity. Now, some of the schools to be reopened in areas like Oshishi, Lavun, and Gurara local government areas of the state. Now, the Commissioner for the State Ministry of Basic and Secondary Education, Hadiza Muhammad, who held an emergency meeting with major stakeholders in the education sector in Minna, the state capital, on Wednesday, says the decision to reopen the school or the schools was as a result of improved security in the affected communities. Schools across Nasarawa State have resumed for the 2023-2024 academic session. Now, the resumption of academic activities means parents and guardians have to struggle to adapt to the current economic climate in the country with limited financial resources. Trust TV's Abubakar Abdullahi sent in this report as presented from our studio.
Though not all students have resumed for academic activities, a significant number of teachers were on ground in most schools visited by Trust Television. In one of the schools visited, Trust TV witnessed that lessons were ongoing as students were seen either listening, asking, or responding to questions from the teachers. Some of these students speak.
And my expectation from teachers is to make sure that we learn well and have knowledge of every subject the teachers in school.
And my expectation from my teachers is to impart qualitative education which will help us to be future leaders and nation builders of tomorrow.
The students who appreciated the effort of their teachers also challenged them to be role models to them through their behavior. Samuel Kagmut is the Vice Principal Government Secondary School, Lafia East. He confirmed the resumption of students and teachers in the school and challenged parents to send their children who are yet to resume to school.
From all indications, staffs and students are on ground. We have started our classes immediately without any waste of time. And we urge parents that they should inform their ward that are still at home to resume to school because lessons has been commenced in earnest.
Vice Principal advised the students to appreciate the efforts of their parents by putting in their best in their academic pursuit. A parent who also speaks on the resumption said the removal of full subsidy by the government has affected their fee payment plans.
Children have resumed school, and as parents, we are expected to pay their school fees. But because of subsidy removal challenge, which affect all economic activities, people have no money in their hands, and we parents are facing serious challenge in payment of school fees. What remains for us is that we resort to praying on daily basis for God intervention.
He called on governments to look into the plight of the people and introduce policies and programs that will reduce the hardship on the citizens.
Now, the federal government has conducted the second phase of the computer-based confirmatory promotional examination for junior cadre officers in public service across the country. Now, the examination conducted by the Joint Admissions and Matriculation Board had a total of 9,618 candidates from paramilitary and junior officers from the core ministries, departments and agencies of government who participated nationwide. Speaking after touring Abuja centers, Marcus Ogumbi, Permanent Secretary, Career Management Office at the Office of the Head of Civil Service of the Federation, commended JAM for proper conduct of the examination. Now, he said the reason behind the initiative by the federal government was part of his vision to reform the public service by going digital and to improve civil servants in the course of their work. Atebo Ademu, the Director, Learning and Development at the Office of the Head of Civil Service of the Federation, says the Head of Service was satisfied with the level of performance of the exercise. Ademu gave assurances of non-compromise of the system to sustain the needed standards. According to him, having examined some of the problems encountered during the first conduct of the examination, the Office of the Head of Civil Service of the Federation, in collaboration with JAM, had put some measures in place to address all observable challenges. Now, operatives of the Imo State Command of the National Drug Law Enforcement Agency on Wednesday intercepted and arrested 5 pregnant women suspected of being part of a baby factory ring in the state. Trust TV's Ajibade Awofesho reports.
According to the state NDLEA, the operatives, while on a motorized patrol along the Aba-Owerri Expressway, intercepted these 5 child trafficking victims who run a baby factory. The arrest came at a time where they were being relocated to a safer area in Ikenegbu from a hideout in Naze, all in Owerri. The oldest among them is Divine Admonye, who said she is 8 months pregnant and confessed that this is her second time of giving birth and selling the child.
Very if it's achieved to the tender, make it that you come.
How much they say the person go pay you?
Now, someone like she's dropping me. She not pay me any amount, but she said that after when they take care of me, I don't the baby. We talk. That's why they made me I don't the baby. That is nothing will happen to me. Then we talk about how much she has tried that you give me.
One of them that caught the attention of many is 15-year-old Choma Emmanuel. She said she was impregnated by her elder sister's husband and in turn asked her to go into hiding to deliver the baby. Opera Gift on her part said she separated with her husband and ventured into the act since there was no other means of survival for her.
My sister's husband got me pregnant. When my sister got to know, she sent me out of her husband's house. And I'm an orphan. I don't know any help. I don't have any help. That's why I go to this group to them to help me out. I have a child before now, but I separated with my husband following the discovery that he is an outcast. And when I asked him what do we do with the baby I'm carrying, he said I should do whatever I like with it. And I don't have any other choice but to do this.
NDLEA authorities said earlier interviews with the suspects revealed that all the victims do not even know the men that got them pregnant. They said the victims will be handed over to the relevant authorities for proper investigation and consequent arrest of others. Ajibade Awofeso, Trust TV News, Owerri.
You're watching the news update on Trust TV. Coming up ahead, we'll tell you about the changing face of Asaba town with solid waste. More on this story coming up ahead. John.
Sounds like you're disappointed with the current lot.
We are outside, me and you, regardless. We could have done better.
That you don't have to sacrifice your conviction. We cannot settle for what is bad.
I sacked a governor because of misappropriating 300,000 naira.
The clamor by the NCSC was a unitary form of government. This doesn't go well with Savannah. So when we said we wanted self-government for Nigeria in 96, so you count me out.
What you call goal, aims and directives. But the issue of joining politics simply because you want to be given job or to be given contract.
Removing the assumptions, the foundations of their fears, and at the end of it, each and every one of them seems to surprised.
I was posted to Guachuku. My job was to go from community to community, educating the people how to improve themselves. Government will come to help you.
This is Trust TV, documenting the Nigerian story.
Welcome back and thank you very much for staying with us on the news. Here's a quick reminder of our top stories at this hour. A nationwide blackout as Nigeria's electricity grid collapses again. ISWAP kills 2 fishermen, seizes over 100 boats after clash with Boko Haram insurgents. Now, the Central Bank of Nigeria says it is not planning to introduce a new Naira policy that will crash the dollar exchange rate to 1 Naira 25 kobo. On Wednesday, a report circulating online platforms claimed that the Apex Bank is mulling a new foreign exchange policy. According to the report, the policy is scheduled for November 2023 and will better anchor inflation expectations and make for easier conversion to other major currencies. Now, the report also says the policy will, quote, reverse the tendency for currency substitution as well as eliminate high denomination notes with lower purchasing power. As of Tuesday, the exchange rate was at 742 Naira 10 kobo to the dollar at the investors and exporters window, which is Nigeria's official exchange rate market. Now, commenting on the report in a statement on Wednesday, accompanied by a screenshot of the report, the CBN says the publication is false. Asaba, the Delta State capital, is experiencing a scourge of indiscriminate refuse disposal on its popular Nebisi Road. Jonathan Awayan reports that the trend is now becoming a source of worry for residents in the area.
Nebisi, a major road in Asaba, is no longer a good sight. The road has suddenly become a refuse dump of some sort, with bags of refuse now a common sight. It is a situation that has become a source of worry for some residents who now worry that the practice could cause an epidemic if not addressed immediately.
So with the way where this thing then it not make sense, and if they not take any action between now and weekend, I think Asaba go dirty.
That dirty where they there now, the dirty no good because as they there now, the environment is very dirty and it's smelling everywhere.
Put these things in place, bring measures so that whatever that throws can or any dirt outside it should be fined for it.
On the part of government, it is not for lack of thoughtfulness, but the permanent secretary of the Ministry of Environment, Dr. Mini Oseji, says that government and the waste evacuators are having some challenges.
Foremost, it started with residents who did not have subscription with the private sector participants. So rather than paying between 1,005 and 2,005 so that the private sector participants can come and cut away their refuse, they chose to come out in the night and go and dump it.
She, however, suggests ways residents can mitigate the situation in the meantime.
So before I dump my waste and keep it for the private sector participants responsible for cutting away my own household waste, I first remove all the plastic bottles and I recycle the plastic bottles. We have a number of plastic recycling companies. I also remove paper, I remove cartons, and all those things. You open a packet of cereal, I remove it. So I pack all those things and I store them, and when they have reached a sizable quantity, I take them to the integrated waste management facility, and there I put it, and they actually give me remuneration. So the question now is, how do I get every resident in Asaba to do this while we are trying to deal with the problem of ensuring the dump site is function?
It is expected that the eyesore is not allowed to linger in the interest of the people's health, as cleanliness is said to be next to godliness. Jonathan Awanye, Trust TV News, Asaba.
On the international scene, we begin in Libya, where the domestic efforts to aid survivors are still on despite political fractions, as focus is now on accessing people in need. It has now been more than 3 days since Libya's eastern port city of Derna was practically flattened as Storm Daniel unleashed its wrath on a city that was mostly fast asleep. Osama al-Husadi, a 52-year-old driver, has been searching for his wife and 5 children since the storm struck on Sunday night, bursting dams above the city, resulting floods engulfing everything in their path. Now, more than 6,000 people have reportedly died, and the number is likely to double or even quadruple, Islamic Relief warned late Wednesday. The Libyan Red Crescent says on Thursday morning that a further 10,000 people are still missing, a tally that could be higher. Before arriving in Libya, Storm Daniel had struck Greece, killing 15 people and causing widespread destruction. In sports now, Team Nigeria boxers in the ongoing Paris 2024 Olympic Games qualifiers in Dakar, Senegal, put up another distinctive performance as 6 have qualified into the semi-finals. 8 out of the 9 boxers reached the quarterfinal, but only 6 of them were able to cross into the semi-final rounds. The women's category, Cynthia Ogunsemilore Temitope beat Kenyan Wangi Teresia in round 1 at the quarter-final stage of women's 60 kilograms, and UK-based Patricia Mbat also beat Nwika Marie Joel from the Democratic Republic of Congo by unanimous decision at the quarter-final stage of the women's 75 kg to progress to the semi-final round. In the male category, UK-based Olaore Olaiton Adams defeated host countries Kebe Karamba of Senegal at the men's 92 kilograms weight class by a unanimous decision, and Dolapo Joshua knocked out Ndevelo Tiagain from Namibia with a left hook in round 1 of the men's 57 kilogram weight class to progress to the semi-final stage of the ongoing Boxing Africa Olympic qualifiers in Dakar in Senegal. Well, that's it. You're up to date with the latest news stories at this hour. Thank you most kindly for joining us. Feel free, as always, to follow us across our social media platforms to catch up with more content, or visit trusttv.com for more news. My name is Abdullah Ahmed. Thank you for watching.